This is Danny Gould with the Gould team selling Silicon Valley, back with your market snapshot for the week of January 21st. Guys, this is a very interesting time of year. I think if you saw my video last week, you'll notice that I was talking about the kind of like abnormal amount of activity for this time of year that I'm sensing in the market right now as an agent on the front lines. Typically in January, we're seeing like maybe, 5 to 10 groups every single day at an open house. Fairly moderate activity, but this year we're seeing a lot more activity on the weekends, and I think it's indicative of the things to come over the coming months here in the Silicon Valley marketplace. But I did want to start off with the year-over-year numbers in terms of active listings and pending listings. So if you look right here at the heat maps, this is really easy to digest. You're not going to be able to mess this up. You will understand this. So if you look at this right here, you'll notice that the active listings for the week of January 21st, triple digits in a lot of areas and single digits in a lot of areas. You'll notice kind of in the middle here, in the heart, and then in all the exterior towns, say for Sunnyvale and what have you, a lot of the exterior portions, especially down in the southwestern portion here, you'll see single digits. So all in all though, more inventory than we're used to seeing, at least for when we compare it to last year's numbers, right? Now, if you'll bear with me and we scoot over to the pending listings here, you'll notice that all in all, basically what we saw last week, sporadic spurts of increased absorption pending listings, and then areas where it's not so, not being absorbed as well, right? If you notice some of the exterior portions. But what I really want to call your attention to is how this compares with last week's pending listings, right? Remember last week I really wanted to enforce the idea of feast or famine, right? Where some listings may still be getting multiple offers and some areas might be experiencing higher than normal activity levels while other areas are experiencing lower than normal activity levels, right? So just bear with me right here while I switch screens and we come over here to the pending listings for the week of 114. Look at some of the area. Let's look at Los Gatos there, right? Week of 14 plus 57%. Week of 121, what is that? -8. Hold on one second here. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Boom. Look at that. -8. Then, look at another area. Look at this area right here, an area that I do a lot of business in, Blossom Valley. 209% for this. Oh, well, I don't want to see that. We have -4% for pending listings up to 209. Think about that. So we went from -4 to 209% in 1 week, right? So think about that. That's in comparison to last year. I mean, that's like a roller. That's a huge wave, right? And so what I talked about last week, the idea of a wavy market, right? Where over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, even 2, 3, 4 months, we could see, this kind of roller coaster ride where on any given week, a specific area is experiencing great activity levels from buyer's side or lower than normal activity levels, right? And I don't know if the inventory necessarily has a direct correlation to that as much as the actual demand itself, right? So I think as time goes on, as long as the inventory levels stay relatively consistent in the sense that, right now they're at 2x, right, where they were last year, or 3x, right? So as long as we maintain that level of active inventory, then I think we'll continue to see a wavy market. Now, if inventory goes sky high, say in April, May, when we're used to seeing higher inventory levels, then that could definitely do something to the market in terms of pricing. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm seeing it on the front lines. I'm not sure what anyone else is seeing, but I just set a record price in the neighborhood. As in, I just sold a listing for higher than anything had ever sold for before in that neighborhood, including the peak of last year. Think about that for a second. I want you to digest that. Okay. Some of it has to do with me, right? I'm an amazing negotiator, and let me tell you, that offer did not come in at a record price. So kudos to me, great. Pat myself on the back, great. But let's think about that like kind of like macro scale, right? Like let's think about like that whole like waviness, right? In a month, could there be another record-breaking sale, or could it, depreciate by 2, 3, 4%? Could. I think either could in this market. I think the latter is probably a little bit more realistic than the former, right? Like I really do think that there's going to be slight depreciation, kind of like this nice little wave of activity and prices, etc., until the dust settles and things finally start to go really south. But what I will say is this, is that this market right now is the perfect example of a market in which every little detail matters, right? 2 quick little stories and then I'm gonna let you go. But I had a listing on the market last year that we didn't sell. And then we took it off for the holidays. My sellers trusted me enough to put it back on the market after the holidays. We came on, I just sold it in 10 days with multiple offers, right? But we didn't get multiple offers at first. I had to procure that other offer. I had to go back to all the other agents that had buyers that came through those last 10 days and tell them that we had an offer on the table. It was through that action that I was able to generate a multiple offer situation and create competition, which ultimately drove the price, right? There's a lot of buyers out there right now that are on the fence, they're thinking about it, but if they like something, and they're gonna go for it still, right? And so just case in point, right? Like getting those buyers off the fence, it is a little bit more difficult than it was, say, a year ago, where buyers were just like ecstatic to be getting into a house, period. Now we're seeing a little bit more of like a, but at the same time, again, right, who you work with absolutely matters, because had I not taken that extra step to call all those agents and procure up another offer, my clients would be sitting on less money now, potentially, assuming it closes, right, than they would have otherwise, right? So that's number one. Number two, the little details in the houses matter. I really do think that at this point, before people were just like happy to get a house, like I mentioned before, but now I really think that the small details in the house matter. Like, how does it show? How does it look? How does a buyer receive it? Does it have great natural lighting? Does it not have great natural lighting? Is it near a clubhouse? Is it not near the clubhouse? Like, is it within walking distance to the school, or like all these like little things that before may not have made such a big difference absolutely make a difference in this kind of market. And it could be the difference between selling for 2 or 3% under the market value or the highest value, or 1 to 2 to 3% over, right? Like there's a large fluctuation there. There's a large delta, and that's the signs of a stabilizing market, right? And so while there might be micro wins, like what I just told you about right now, right? Like the record-breaking sale, like there will also be micro losses, and there will probably be more micro losses than micro wins. But all in all, this neutralization, if you will, of the market leads to, number one, health, right? Like I really think that this is great for everyone in general. Buyers, make the decision when it's right for you. Sellers, act quick. Like, don't be foolish. The market could turn at any second. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. So just do it. It'll be fun. All right, guys, this is Danny Gould with the Gould team selling Silicon Valley. I'll catch you guys in the next video.